the wine of our fornication, rather. So lucky I'll have to I'll do another lesson in proving that America is Babylon the Great later. That's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is that Lucifer, rather, there is no angel actually named Lucifer. Let's continue. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. When Babylon fell, this did not happen. The earth was not at rest and was quiet and did not break forth into singing, because immediately after Babylon fell, immediately, and you can look this up because it is actually historically accurate. Immediately after Babylon fell, the Medo-Persians took over. In fact, it was the Medo-Persians that fell Babylon. That story is actually even written in the book of Daniel. I believe it is either chapter 7 or 9. That how, because Belshazzar used the cups that were in the temple of the Lord, that he took from the temple of the Lord when Babylon invaded Israel during the time of Jeremiah, the prophets. When Babylon invaded Israel and took the golden cups that were used in the temple, Belshazzar, I think, well, yes, I believe it was Belshazzar. He used those cups to drink. He used those cups in a feast for one of their gods. One of their gods. I don't really remember his name because, as I always say, what does the heathen god have to do with me? I don't remember his name. But during that time, because of what had happened, uh, I've forgotten the inscription, but maybe I should just get it so that it will be easier for me to explain. Slakia, I'm going out of, what do I say? I'm going out of I'm going out of context here. Slakia. I can't remember the passage. I'm not going to write. I can't really remember the passage. I do remember one thing about it. It's what actually made me laugh because it was wild. Slovakia. This is not part of what I was going to show, but I just wanted to use it to talk about something here. Daniel 5. Okay, Daniel 5 was where Belshazzar's kingdom fell. Okay, and this is it. Belshazzar, Slovakia. Belteshazzar was what they called Daniel. Belshazzar was the king of Babylon at that time. Belshazzar made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. I would have explained this, but I didn't want to butcher the scriptures. I just decided to bring it out here. Let the scriptures. Let me read it and so you'll understand the point I was trying to make. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which is in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Okay, Nebuchadnezzar isn't really Belshazzar's direct father. But because Belshazzar comes from the line of Nebuchadnezzar, I think he's either his grandfather or his great. Nebuchadnezzar was either his grandfather or his great grandfather. But because Belshazzar comes from the direct line of Nebuchadnezzar is one of his fathers. Because this was back then, this was back then, more than 3,000 years ago. At that time, they did not have words like grandfather or great grandfather. From your father upwards, where all of them are considered your father. That's how it usually works back then. Of course, you never hear this explanation in the churches. Just give you a little information there that you never hear in Judeo-Christianism. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels. Oh, okay, I read this one. Let me just sit down to 3. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. And the kings and his princes, his wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. So they used the gold that was dedicated to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh to praise their own Babylonian gods. And in that same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and the king smote, and his knees smote one against another. So what he's basically saying is like he got weak in the knees, and he started shaking. You know, you see those cartoons and the characters get scared and he starts shaking. That is actually how foolish. Like, gosh. When I first read this, I laughed. I laughed my ass off. This was hilarious. It was hilarious. The dude was so scared that his knees were shaking. Yeah, his creatures are wild. And he, Slakia, what? I just can't imagine it. Somebody just sees the handwriting and he's like, shit, you need to start shaking. Oh, I can't. I'm sorry, Slakia. Okay, let me continue. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and King spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck and shall be the third ruler of the kingdom. Okay, so the king needed, so the hand actually wrote something there, and the king needed somebody to translate it so he would understand what was written there. And so, like, I'm going to skip down a little bit to show you the main. This is the main parts. When Daniel came and spoke about his wait, okay, where should I start now? Here it is. Let me start from the 2024. If you want to know what happens from the part where I stopped to the part where I'm starting back again, you can just read it yourself. But I'm just trying to get to the point here. I don't want this video to be too long. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Mene Mene Tekel of Sarsen. And if you look into it, it's those actually just words. Mene means, I think Mene means to number, and Tekel means to weigh, and Perez means to divide. So just basically weights, no, basically numbered, weights, so divided. So then I had to explain what those words actually meant, because if you just write different, you just write random words on a word, nobody will actually understand this. But the most I gave, Yahweh gave Daniel the spirit to understand what those words meant. And this was actually a message from the Most High Yahweh. And he said, this is an interpretation of the thing. Mene, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting. Perez, the kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. And you can look into it if you want. After the empire of Babylon, because this was a legitimate empire that actually existed in history. And there are actually some Christians that don't even know that Babylon actually existed. And there was actually an empire called Babylon, and then there was an empire again called Persia, and that Persia was actually written up in the scriptures. Actually, some Christians actually don't know this, because you Christians, man, you really need to start reading these scriptures. You need to start reading this Bible so you can understand the words that are in it, and you can understand that the simple things like Lucifer is not a fuck. Salakia. That Lucifer is not an actual angel. Then he commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night, Belshazzar the king of the Chaldeans was slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 32 years old. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story. And this, you can look this up. This story actually happened like this. It is recorded that Babylon fell the day that they were celebrating a feast for one of their gods, and that the Medo Persians just came and took over immediately. The history actually goes into something like this. This Belshazzar wasn't actually the king. He was rather the second in command in the kingdom. He was a prince. He was a prince of Babylon because his father, I think I've forgotten his father's name, his father was still alive. And this, but because Belshazzar was losing support in Babylon, was losing support in Babylon, the Babylonian society, according to the secular history, was losing support in Babylonian society. He's because he not stand, he had a falling out with the priests of Babylon, the priests of his god, which is why, and Darius, he came in claiming to be the illegitimate son of one of the kings of Babylon, and which is why people started supporting. They supported Darius more than they supported them. The Chaldeans supported Darius more than they supported Belshazzar, which is why Darius could easily come in and rule over Babylon. What I'm trying to prove with that passage is that this Isaiah 14 was not talking about ancient Babylon, but talking about the Babylon that is to come in the last days, the final king of Babylon, which is why I wanted to prove that the whole earth was not at rest when the kingdom of Babylon fell. That's why I actually went back and referenced that scripture. If I explain that properly, okay. So let me continue. Yea, the fair trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It is raised up from their thrones, all the kings of the nations, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So imagine that shit. Imagine the kings of the nations. Imagine the presidents, the rulers, the prime ministers calling Lucifer and saying, yes, come. So now you have become as weak as us. Now you have become a man just like us, and we will destroy you. No. It's always talking about the king of Babylon. And the king of Babylon today would be the president of America, or the current president of America, Donald J. Trump. Yes, or like okay, he was impeached, so he's no longer the president of America. So right now, America doesn't really have a official president. But think of it this way: nations are already even seeing this because all nations are coming up against America these days. You know, North Korea, Russia, China, Iran. Those are the ones I know off the top of my head. Now, America isn't as strong as it used to be. The economy is pretty shitty, of course. Their birth rate is very low. Their military isn't as strong as it was before. Now, all the nations are thinking this is our chance to bring down America and come to the top, but they're not the ones that are going to come to the top. Israel got next. That's what the brothers at the Great Millstone have been pushing, and the elders have been pushing for years now. And it's finally coming to pass, it's finally coming to fruition. We can finally see that yes, the Lord is about to bring the kingdom of Israel up. Thy pomp is brought low, is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Imagine saying the worms cover Lucifer, an angel, or rather the devil. This is obviously talking about a man. And we even see where it actually wrote the word man. Let's continue. And this is the way that scripture started from. You see, they don't read from the top, they don't get this context, they don't get it in context, they don't get it precept upon precept upon precept to show you just to prove that this one not talking about the king of Babylon, rather the king of ancient Babylon, and we're not talking about Lucifer as well, but we're talking about the king of the modern day Babylon, which is America. Again, I'm going to do a video to prove that America is Babylon the Great. So that will be a little bit later. Let me just do this one first, one at a time. So like one at a time. I'm not yet an elder in this teaching thing, so I'm just a random brother. I'm just a younger brother. So I'll do this one at a time, one at a time, for my own sake, and so that people can be edified more that way. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? So, yeah, let me just continue. I wanted to say something about Lucifer weakening the nations, but let's just forget about it now. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend to heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the congregation on the sides of the north. Are you seeing this? Now, let's see the background of this. Heaven doesn't always mean heaven, the throne of God. Sometimes heaven just means the sky. Like it can just mean the sky or the atmosphere or what is above the sky. That kind of thing. Doesn't always mean the kingdom of heaven. So sometimes when the scripture talk about heaven, it doesn't always talk about. It doesn't always just mean. Okay, let's say there are three heavens that the scripture talk about. One is regular heaven, just the sky. Another one is the throne of God, which is heaven, which is the main heaven. The throne of God, which is which is I don't know where it is, obviously, and that's the human being. Another one is the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of New Jerusalem, which the book of Revelation speaks about. The kingdom of God that descended from heaven. The kingdom that will reign after the end days, after the whole event of Revelation. That is the third heaven. This heaven I'm talking about right now is the sky above. So it says that he said in his heart that I will ascend into heaven and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. In other words, he wants to build a house in the stars. And everyone always talks about that, building a house in the stars, living among the stars. Who always talks about that? Who else but Esau? Who else but the Edomites? The so-called white men of the world, the Europeans, the Americans, the so-called though. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregations in the sides of the north. And who lives in the northmost parts of the world? I'll leave that one to your imagination. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Who says they want? Who has the God? Who has the God complex the most in this world right now? Who has the biggest God complex? Is it an angel named Lucifer? No, no. There's no angel named Lucifer. It's the Edomites. The Edomites, they are the devil which the scriptures speak of. Oh, I'll also have to do a video about that one too. But anyway, let's continue. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Ah, but Lucifer is already in hell, according to Christian fables. So how can he now be brought down to hell again? Can you something that is already in hell will now be brought back down to hell? It's not Christianity that says that hell was created for Lucifer and his angels, and yet he will be brought down again to hell. Why don't somebody explain to me how that works, huh? They shall see thee narrowly, look upon thee and consider thee, saying, they shall see thee narrowly, look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? If there was a man that makes the earth tremble, that shakes kingdoms, what man would that be? And what so-called race would it be from? That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. This is Esau, the so-called white man, all the way. The scripture is basically giving you the perfect description of the person of the person that can be considered the devil in this world. There's a reason why they were once known as the white devils. It's not just because it wasn't just a name. Let me just continue. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. And he's talking about the future. After this new modern day Babylon, America, the greatest Esau's kingdom is falling. All the kings of the nations shall lie in glory, everyone shall stay in their own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch. Listen to this. It talks about all the kings of the nations lying in their glory, all the kings of nations returning back to their own houses, to their own kingdoms, to their own lands. But it now says that Lucifer, the son of the morning, the man that made weaken the nations, is cast out like an abominable branch, as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword that go down to the stones of the pit, as the carcass struck it on their feet. In other words, he will be killed with a sword. Now imagine that if an angel could be killed by a sword, if Lucifer the devil could be killed by a sword, could be thrown down and people will just step on his bodies. This is obviously not talking about a angel. This is obviously not talking about an angel. This is obviously talking about a human being. Because all these characteristics I am mentioning here, only human beings can do this. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed the land, thy land, because thou hast destroyed thy land. So the devil own land. Also, if I have any land on the earth that it says this land is property of the devil, property of Lucifer. No. And slain thy people. Doesn't even have a people. Is there a race on this earth that says, okay, the devil came from us? That is us that Lucifer came from, that we are the people, that we are the country that Lucifer came from. No. This seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. This is obviously talking about a human being. Need I continue? Need I go to the end of this? So this is obviously talking about a human being. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of the evildoer shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquities of their father, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Come on. Come on. Isaiah 14 is already talking about human beings. How the hell would Lucifer have children that can be killed? How would he have if doesn't mean that Lucifer has a father that committed sin? Does this mean that Lucifer wants to possess the land and fill the land with land and fill the land of this earth with cities? Come on. For I will rise up against them, says the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and the remnant and the son and nephew, said the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the beaten and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, said the Lord of hosts. Okay, I've done enough here. I don't think I can what more proof do I need to bring to show you that this Isaiah 14 is not talking about Lucifer? You can read it yourself, you'll see that it is not talking about Lucifer. They're always talking about a man, and that man they're talking about was Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And I have to do a lesson about Esau too. Uh you know, I have to do a lesson about Esau too. So I'm going to have to remember to do all these lessons. So that's 3 lessons now. One concerning Slovakia. I'll remember it later. Let's go back to that article. And it says the story of Lucifer and his history. Lucifer is just another name for Satan. So you can see here they're admitting that, okay, Satan and Lucifer are the same person. Who, as head of the evil world system, is the real invisible power. Is the real though invisible power behind the successive rulers of Tyre, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. And he's talking about the succession of kingdoms throughout history. But Tyre was not actually a kingdom that ruled the world. It was actually goes like this. Egypt, there was a time that Egypt ruled the world. They were during the time of Joseph. Then Assyria had a good amount of Assyria had a good amount of rulership time, but they weren't actually a great empire. Okay, think of it this way: the empires there were only 4 empires that actually ruled a good percentage of the known world during that time. Persia, it ruled a huge part of the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. I mean, so that's like a Babylon. Then Persia ruled the land that Babylon ruled. Then Greece, using the Greece, Greece, the rise of Alexander of Macedon. Right now, people know him as Alexander the Great. Some greats, some greats. Rather, his name is Alexander the Greek. And these white people, these Edomites, they basically see him as a god because he is the one that brought them their first taste of rulership. He is the one that gave the Edomites their first taste of rulership, Alexander the Greek. And his line actually goes back to Edom. If you read it, if you read it in the Apocrypha, the first book of Maccabees, the first chapter, it will show you that his line actually goes back to Kittim, to his Agag. He's a so-called Jew right now, a man from Amalek. And of course, Rome. Everybody here should know Rome, the Roman Empire, where modern day Christianity was birthed from. And of course, that has the Roman Empire that had the biggest influence on the modern day world. And then now, this world is considered an extension of the Roman Empire. So that means we are still under the Roman Empire up to this day. And all of those evildoers that we have seen come and go in the history of the world. So this article is saying that Satan influenced everybody that did evil in this world. And they're not wrong, actually. They're actually right. Yes, 100%. Yes, Satan. But his name is not Lucifer. There's no angel named Lucifer. If Lucifer is not his name, you can maybe call him Satan if you like. Because Satan goes back to the Hebrew word, Hashatan. I don't remember what Hashatan means. Like, yeah. You guys, maybe one of you brothers can look it up and also write it in the comment board. Maybe somebody, or maybe you brothers can later look it up, so you know what the word Hashatan actually means. So let me continue. This passage goes beyond human history and marks the beginning of sin in the universe and the very fall of Satan in the pristine, sinless spheres before the creation of man. What he's trying to say right here is that because Satan fell, he brought man into sin, which is actually very erroneous. Because first of all, Satan never fell. Lucifer never fell. And the reason why these Christians think that Lucifer fell is because there's a scripture. I believe it is in. I don't remember which scripture is in, but it says, it says, "And I beheld Satan fall from heaven as lightning." And that's Satan. He's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan, because one thing I have to understand about this scripture, and I'll prove it by the way. One thing you have to understand is that Satan cannot fall because he is following the will of God. Everything that he's doing, all the evil that is committed on the earth, it is God that commanded him to do it. And I will prove it easily. But if you don't want to stay and watch my proof, just simply go to Job 1 chapter 6 and Job 2 chapter 1. And you'll see that, you stand, and when you read it, you'll see that Satan actually has to ask permission from God before he can do anything upon the earth. I mean, many Christians actually believe this, but they will still tell you that Satan rebelled. If somebody goes to you for permission to do something, is this actually a rebellion? Is it rebellion if they still have to go and meet you for permission? It means that no, Satan did not rebel. So when you talk about Lucifer or Satan, it's talking about how they fell from heaven or how they rebelled against God. It's not talking about angels, because angels cannot rebel against God. It's talking about men. It's us men that still are stupid enough to think that we can do anything against God. It's us that are stupid enough to do all those rebellion shit, all those rebellion stuff. Anyway, we also see the same motif in Ezekiel. Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me. Oh yeah, and this one is also another proof that these people try to use to prove that yes, Lucifer actually fell from heaven and that Lucifer actually the devil and they actually rebelled against God. In Ezekiel 28, prophecy against the king of Tyre. Now this explanation is actually a very long explanation. The breakdown of this Ezekiel 28 is actually a very long breakdown. That's something that I can't really I can't really do right now. But I'm going to repost a video of the Ezekiel 28 breakdown. So any of you that are interested in it, you can actually get that and watch it, and you can understand this. Because actually a long breakdown, and I don't want this video to be too long. If I go into that breakdown right now, we could get like, we could be here for like 1 hour. We could actually start going into different things, start bringing out different scriptures and bringing out different historical facts. Because one thing you have to understand is that the Bible is actually the Bible is human. The words of the Bible is human history, rather the words of the Old Testament is human history. So the only way I can prove one of the ways I have to prove these things by going back into history and going back into what actually happened back then, using secular history to even prove that yes, this is what using secular history so that I can further understand why the scriptures speak of something this way or that way, or use these terms to speak of it. Okay. So I'll repost that Ezekiel 28 breakdown so you understand that the king of Tyre was actually also why these Christians believe that Ezekiel 28 is actually talking about the devil Lucifer falling from heaven, like they always say. The passage seems to be addressed to the king of Tyre. In reality, it goes beyond the king to the one who is behind the evil, the evil king of Tyre. This passage also has near and far prophecy about Lucifer slash Satan, because although his final end is already sure, it has not happened yet, and it occurs after the final judgment. In both the Isaiah passage and the Ezekiel passage, this representation is not Lucifer slash Satan as confirmed to his own person, but is working in and consummating of his plans through earthly kings and rulers who take themselves divine honors and who, whether they actually know it or not, rule in spirit and under the aims of Satan. And it references Ephesians 6:12. For we struggle not. Okay, this is actually a different version than King James. This is not the King James version. I'll get it. Let me just get it. Okay, let me just get it in King James, because I don't want to read that other version, because who the hell knows? Because it's all these other versions don't actually get they don't they change the words and use synonyms and use modern English. But the Bible was written in Old English. What that Old English actually means, just definitions were revised, which, like the other Malcolm says, revision just means that they change some words so they can further hide the truth. This is Ephesians 6, chapter verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the ruler of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And this talks about, not talking about Lucifer, that's saying that the spiritual wickedness in high places is Lucifer. No, it's talking about the leaders and the of this world, because most people don't actually know this, most people don't actually know this, but the leaders of this world, they worship various pagan gods from the old days. They worship the gods of Babylon, Philistia, Rome, and Greek, and all these sort of gods. Gods like Baal, Molech, Dagon, El. And if you need confirmation of that, Google these words. Google the Bohemian Grove. The Bohemian Grove. Bohemian is spelled Bohemian Grove. Google the Bohemian Grove. There's a owl there. That owl represents Molech. Also, you can Google Mystery Babylon by Ralph Woodrow. It's a good book to show you how. It's a good book. One of the first books I actually read before I even got into this truth. It shows how the Catholic Church is actually what's the word I'm looking for? It absorbed some pagan traditions and used it in itself. You can actually do research on this, because it's actually well documented that most of the most famous people and the elites and the elites of the world and presidents actually worship pagan gods and go and perform many pagan rituals. That's why this whole rumor of Illuminati came from. It's actually from that. It actually stems from that practice. But anyway, let's just get back into this article. Notice the statement that is given in passage in Ezekiel, the anointed cherub. These statements could never apply to a human king. They do apply to Lucifer or Satan, though, who is behind the human king. And once again, I will repost the breakdown of that Ezekiel 28 so I understand what the anointed cherub actually means. Because somebody says, because I don't actually understand what that anointed cherub actually means. I'm not really going to go into it now, because if I start going into it, I'll just go deep into it and start talking about every single detail, and it will take a long time. So just repost the video. If you're interested, you can watch the video and see what the anointed cherub means. I've already proven that Ezekiel 14 was not Isaiah 14 was not talking about Lucifer in any way, but he used the word Lucifer. In fact, we're not talking about the devil, Satan. The word Lucifer is not the devil or Satan. It is the people that consider themselves to be the morning star. That's why I talk about the Illuminati. The Illuminati goes back to the Latin word, which means illuminated ones. They consider themselves. I want to talk about lights. Light in the scriptures can be light is often a proverb for wisdom, understanding, knowledge. So when you talk about Lucifer, the light bearer, these people actually consider themselves to be Lucifers. In other words, light bearers. That means they consider themselves to be people that have have knowledge, that have wisdom, that have the understanding. Which is why they call and Salakia. And this is also called Salakia. And these elites, man, especially these elites of Esau, these high ranking families and of Esau, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the likes, they consider themselves basically the gods of this world. And even the scripture sometimes considers them to be because the scripture sometimes consider them to be the rulers of this world, but they consider themselves to be the gods of this world, and they actually want to be going against the Most High. Oh yeah, that reminds me. There's a particular a passage that this article speaks of that says that. Let me go back to the top so I can read it. So okay, let me look for it. Here it is. No mortal king could claim that his throne was above that of God or that he was like the Most High, which is actually erroneous because there's actually people actually because actually in the book of Second Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4, the man of sin. If most I know most Christians actually know what that word is, but the man of sin actually considered himself to be above God, to be above the Most High. Yeah, it is. Let no man this Second Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3. Let me start from verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God, seated in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So that's it right there. That's all the proof I need to bring out. That scripture is self-explanatory. The man of sin, the son of perdition, the devil, or the devil incarnate, the devil that the man that walks around on this earth, as can be considered as the devil. Because even the scripture to tell you that, maybe I should have gone into the word devil. I don't have data right now. I can't actually go into it. Maybe one day I'll actually go. You know, I think I'll post another video going into the root meaning of the word devil so you can understand what devil actually means. Or rather, I can actually do it right now. I think I have a Strong's Bible right here. Hold on. Yeah, I should have a Strong's Bible right here, so I can actually go into the root meaning of the word devil. So what this concordance is that. So this is called the Strong's Concordance, or the New Testament. It has two different translations, the Hebrew and the Greek. The Old Testament is Hebrew, the New Testament is Greek. I'm going off topic a little bit here. But let me just get it show you this way. Each word has a number, and that number references the original translation or the original text of that word. So this right now is the original Greek for the word diablos. I'm going to the concordance so I can read it better. And the word devil goes back to the word diabolos, which means a traducer, specifically Satan, false accuser, devil, or slanderer. And as you can see here, the word devil is actually used not just to mean devil, but can actually mean false accuser and slanderer. In other words, humans can also be considered devils. And what devil actually means is just a deceiver. Devil can mean the demonic entity, rather the spiritual entity which is called Satan, or the human adversary, or the human adversary of the men of God, or the elects, or the elects of the nation of Israel. Those can be considered devils. And the spiritual adversary to the elected nation of Israel today would be Esau, which is why we call you Edomites devils, because you're always against the elect. When they are bringing out, those are like the elect, always against the elders and the apostles when they are bringing out this truth, scoffing, slandering, like this black Hebrew Israelite nonsense that is coming out, which is a byword, just like Jew was a byword, just like Christian was a byword. Now I brought out a new one, black Hebrew Israelites. You see these devils, See the devils, they always fall back into their lots, and they don't, and they never change. Anyway, let's continue with the passage. Araslakia, let's continue with the article. Let's see if there's still anything that we can get out of this article. Uh, uh, I really don't want to continue with these vomits, but for the edification's sake, I just end it. What kind of iniquity was found in him? In the book of Ezekiel, God has let us stand with him at the very beginning to see the origin and creation of Satan. But why does Satan say this? What is this iniquity? We must look back to Isaiah 14:12, which tells us Lucifer was Satan's choice. I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit on the mount of the assembly on the heights of Zaphon. I have no idea what translation this is, what version of the Bible this is. Now, if anybody knows, maybe they can just put down in the comments below. I don't really know which translation of which version of the scriptures this is. And I will ascend to the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Do you notice in this passage all of the I wills? He said that he would exalt his stars. Okay, I'm done. That's enough. Now let's prove. Now, the thing about this passage is that the reason why I know for a fact that this Lucifer, this devil is talking about the human adversaries is because the simple fact that all angels obey the will of God. No angel actually disobeyed. There's no way that an angel could rebel against God, because here these Christians are talking about how, oh, God is all powerful, God is the great, the uncreated creator, the unchangeable changer, this one and that one. But yet they will still say that one of his creations rebelled against him. And that God basically lets him do whatever he wants. And that he's like, don't worry, I'll get you one day. No, that's not how it works. Now this is First Titus. Let me get First Titus. I mean, or rather, Slakia, Titus. I had to say First Titus. That was an error. Titus chapter 1 verse 4. What? Sorry, this is 2 Timothy. Slakia. Titus 1:4. Hey. Yeah, forgetting where the passage is from. That's maybe I've forgotten what passage it is. First Timothy 1:4. Slakia. I have a lot of scriptures in my head right now about this, and it's all just jumbled in there. So Slakia. Okay, First Timothy 1 chapter 4. I mean, Slakia verse 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith to do so. So this whole Lucifer falling from heaven thing is a Christian fable, and it starts bringing up different talks and different stories that actually aren't scriptural at all, and like hinder the edifying of the elect, the edifying of the brothers, the edifying of the nation of Israel. Which is why I want to put it to an end today. So we'll get Psalms 103 Psalms 103 verse 20. Yeah, Psalms 103 verse 20. Here it is. Bless the Lord, ye his angels that excel in his strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. And there you have it. Simple and short. The angels always listen to the words of God. They can't